Our third paper to be presented today is SECC Smart University Reference Architecture, SURA, and it will be presented by my colleague Azza from Software Engineering Competence Center.
Hello. Today we are speaking about one of the achievements SECC Software Engineering Competence Center do in the digital transformation of enterprises. Here we are focusing on the enterprise architecture of a specific domain related to education, and we take smart universities as an example to apply the enterprise architecture best practices and get a reference architecture for this domain. We defined the borderlines of the system in what is called the smart university ecosystem. Here we are defining 7 capability areas. I will speak about what is capabilities and what is enterprise architecture in short definitions soon, but the enterprise architecture is around these 6 main pillars: smart campus, smart operations, smart learning, classroom, assessment, support, which are the main pillars in any university. Our effort is to get, like any enterprise, it has many interacting systems, goals, business unit functions. These interactions have data that are transferred between the layers and the stakeholders of the system, and we need to apply what is called borderless information flow. Here comes the reference architecture, the enterprise architecture, and specifically we apply the standard of 2 gaps, the open group foundation for enterprise architecture. The enterprise architecture is about having technology enabled and software intensive representation of complex systems. It defines the system in 4 layers, what's called abbreviated by BDAT, business, data, and applications and technology. It represents an integrated vision and method to guide the strategic planning of enterprises. Previously, people used to use what is called processes when they engineer any enterprise, but processes defines how things are done, but not the vision about the strategy, which is what is to be done. The capability term is defined to lead this strategic thinking as we take what is the enterprise doing. For example, here we are focusing on the educational domain. So, for example, the university have may have this kind of services, staff management, student management, these capabilities. And defining capabilities guides how we strategically plan and transfer the current architecture into future architecture through defining increments, introducing new business services, or improving existing ones. In this, we define what is called the baseline architecture, what is the current state, and what is this enterprise is doing now, and representation of the state is the current state. We design a target view of the future. We see this enterprise, and through transitions, we take steps to move from the baseline architecture to the target architecture. We used what is called the reference model. We need for the educational domain, or specifically smart universities, that we take our first contribution in this enterprise type to define enterprise model for domain. So the reference model defines an abstract framework or domain-specific ontologies that can be used for this domain. So we believe that any university can apply these guidelines and mentioned by our reference architecture that we built at SECC. We didn't start from scratch. We do first very much intensive research on existing enterprise architecture that are done worldwide, and we found examples included. This is a body in Australia, JISC in UK, SURF, this is in Netherlands, and other standards in the educational domain. We surveyed all these and take it as inputs to build our suggested reference architecture for smart university that depend on the capability modeling. The core of our contribution is in the smart capabilities area. For the smart capabilities, we defined 6 capability areas. And there is a layer for enabling capabilities that support this enterprise architecture and supporting capabilities for the universities and some basic capabilities that represent the core business of the university. So we added the smart dimension in the smart capabilities sub-area. Smartness here, we mean to intensively depend on IT technologies to introduce new innovative and technology-enabled services in universities. And this smartness is a relative term, so whenever the technology changes, we have to adapt the architectures to cope with the new trends in the technology. We defined our meta models that we use to represent our architecture, and we used the Archimate meta model. It is 2GAF, also related to 2GAF standards. And we defined the scope of each capability area so that we understand well what is to be under this capability area and make the system into smaller parts represented as capabilities. Then, as we will see how we take each capability and give the details about it. So here we are defining the scope of each smart capability. For example, smart learning is concerned with the management and delivery of learning content and resources to students. We detail each capability through defining capability catalog and service catalog. We define the standards to be used, the technology, covering all the BDAT layer of 2GAF. Here we are taking an example for a capability area and how it breaks down into smaller capabilities. For example, smart assessment is a capability area under which there is assignment management, where the university manage how assignments and insights on the assignments are given. We have formative assessment defining the processes for in-process evaluation of the learning process inside the universities. The test management, the capability that will manage formal tests and student final grading, and peer-to-peer assessment to enable the students to assess their peers. For each capability, we have the layer diagram that define all BDAT layers of this capability. Here we are taking example for assignment management. This is the base capability. For this capability is breakdown into business services and processes that realize this capability, under which we use applications or software solutions to give this, to realize the implementation of these process business areas into information system applications. Under the applications lies the technology layer, where we use recent technologies and we focus on the technologies of the digital transformation era. For example, the AI, here for assignment management, we can use the chatbots. So we can add AI to manage assignment. We can use automate complex processes in the assignment management, and we can enable multiple dashboards for different stakeholders in the educational system. For example, the student will have separate dashboards, the instructor will have another one. So we have more insight vision on the system and can strategically plan how transformations and upgrades for the system will go. In the test management, this is another example. We have also the capability itself as a big business is breakdown into multiple business services that are realized through business processes and lies the applications or information systems and technology that will provide the execution of these defined businesses. The business services, we have what is called the catalog for business. We define the business catalog that define each business service. Is it core or enabling service, and the definition and the scope of each service. The processes, we define each process and give it description and the actors using these processes and interactions within these processes. The applications, there is application catalog that define each application and the description of this application or service. And the technology, also there is technology catalogs that define each technology and what is this technology and how it helps to realize this business service. So finally, after building all the 6 main pillars of the university, so we always at SECC encourage this usage of digital enterprise architecture to guide the way of enterprises, not to start from the software itself, start from design and focus on this. So starting from application is the key for enterprise architecture. And we are, our vision is to reshape the industry, IT industry in Egypt. So this is what we, this is our vision that lets us start achieving in this area, coming with many enterprise architectures now. Smart University Reference Architecture, that is the focus of this paper, is one of them. And we presented morning about digital transformation for software companies. So SECC has this vision, and it works well in the industry to cover and guide this, reshape this IT industry in Egypt. Finally, I thank you, and any questions?
Questions? Thank you for your attendance. For the online viewer, please submit your questions on the portal, and we will answer them shortly. Thank you so much, and we invite you to next sessions